Most men grow up with the same belief that to be loved by a woman, they have to prove themselves. They must have money. They must look good. They must know how to say something that makes her laugh. But the more they try, the weaker they feel. The more they crave love, the easier they are to be controlled. And then, at some point, they find themselves asking, why did she leave, even after I gave her everything? The truth is, a man's real attraction doesn't come from what he shows on the outside, but from what he masters within. Women may not always realize it consciously, but they're drawn to calmness, to steady energy, to a man who isn't ruled by his emotions. Not because he's cold, but because he knows how to stand firm in the middle of chaos. When the world around him shakes, he still keeps his breath steady, his gaze composed, and his mind clear. Women have deep psychological vulnerabilities, not physical ones, but emotional. Subconscious mechanisms make them crave stability, mystery, and the kind of man they can't easily figure out. Understanding this doesn't make you cold or manipulative. On the contrary, it helps you stop reacting emotionally and start living with the rationality of a stoic, calm, self-controlled, and immune to emotional games. Today, we'll dive into the 10 hidden weaknesses of women not to manipulate, but to understand, to learn how to stay grounded in any relationship, and to become the kind of man a woman can never easily forget. The first weakness that Stoicism points out is emotional calmness. Women are emotional beings. That doesn't mean they're weak or irrational. It simply means they experience the world through feelings before reason has a chance to speak. When they love, they feel deeply. When they fear, they react strongly. When they're hurt, they retreat. And through all those emotions, what they long for most isn't perfection, but emotional stability. A man who can be the anchor for their soul. A woman can forgive mistakes, but she finds it hard to forgive insecurity. She can accept that you're not rich or talented, but she'll lose faith if she sees you crumble in adversity. Deep down, a woman wants to feel safe, not just financially, but emotionally. She wants to know that when life becomes chaotic, you won't fall apart with it. When she's angry, you don't get angry too. When she's confused, you don't look for someone to blame. You simply stay calm, steady, and present. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." And that very power is what creates true attraction. When you don't react, you show that you are in control of yourself. And a woman feels that, not through logic, but through instinct. Emotional calmness is not a skill. It's the result of inner discipline. It's knowing that you can't control others, but you can control how you respond. When you remain composed in every situation, you become the place a woman turns to when she's weary of the world. Not because you're stronger than her, but because you're more stable. And that is the most enduring kind of attraction a man can ever possess. The next weakness is being not easily attainable. Scarcity is a subtle psychological trigger, and women are no exception. They tend to value what's hard to get because perceived worth often increases when accessibility decreases. A man who isn't always available, who has his own life, goals, and boundaries, stands out from those too eager to please. This triggers curiosity, desire to explore, and the urge to win what seems out of reach. Being not easily attainable becomes their weakness. Not out of malice, but because instinct makes them cherish and pursue what requires effort. This attraction strengthens when constant availability is mistaken for low value. A man who is always present and quick to respond gradually loses weight in others' eyes. In contrast, a man who maintains healthy distance, values his time, and isn't swayed by every emotional demand creates a sense of rarity. Women intuitively sense this. This is a man with standards, someone who can't be won with empty promises. The effort required to earn his attention sparks curiosity and respect, two forces that fuel deeper desire and attachment. However, scarcity holds value only when it stems from self-mastery, not games. Lasting attraction comes from a man who lives fully, not from one who distances himself just to cause pain. When scarcity arises from inner alignment, having purpose, discipline, and control over energy, it becomes magnetic, drawing others in while still requiring effort to understand. This is how a woman's weakness is triggered. Being not easily attainable becomes the catalyst for attention, admiration, and deep connection. Women are drawn to the distance they haven't bridged. Mystery drives exploration, and self-control commands respect. So remember, don't make your presence cheap. Don't waste energy trying to be noticed. Show up less but with depth. Speak less, but leave a lasting impression. The third weakness is presence. Presence is a subtle yet powerful force in human perception, and women are particularly attuned to it. Before words reach the mind, the body has already sensed the energy. This person is calm, that one is chaotic. A man with true presence moves with rhythm, holds a steady gaze, and speaks with a measured tone, creating an energy field that commands attention. Women, through intuition, interpret this as a sign of safety and strength. They are drawn not just to what you say, but to how you occupy the space around you. This weakness manifests before consciousness even kicks in. Many emotional decisions are rooted in an initial feeling of stability and substance in another person. And the man with presence naturally inspires trust and lowers defenses. When you're fully present, you communicate to the world that you know who you are and have nothing to prove. That's why even strong, independent women are drawn to a man who exudes calmness. It soothes the uncertainty that exists in every relationship. True presence cannot be faked. It's born from inner discipline, managing your emotions, mastering your breath, and living with focus. If you project an image without substance, it quickly becomes apparent and your influence fades. In the Stoic tradition, presence is cultivated through self-training, not performance. When it arises from depth, it not only attracts but creates a lasting sense of safety. In that moment, the weakness isn't deception, but recognition of something real, a presence with weight. What attracts women is not appearance or words, but the feeling of safety a man creates by fully owning the space around him. It signals that he knows where he is, who he is, and doesn't need to prove it to anyone. While most men seek validation, a man with true presence doesn't. He knows that his value isn't defined by how others see him, but by the clarity within his own mind. One of the clearest signs of inner strength is the ability to walk away when necessary. A subtle yet powerful weakness in women is their emotional reaction to the threat of loss. When they sense that a meaningful connection is at risk, an instinctive mechanism triggers the urge to hold on, to fix things, or to invest even more emotionally. This reaction isn't just about possessiveness, but about preserving the sense of safety and stability that the bond once provided. Many clinging behaviors stem from anxiety and fear of loss, leading to attempts to close the gap through control, demands for reassurance, or emotional pressure. When a man holds his boundaries and shows the ability to walk away in the face of disrespect, the shift in the other person is often clear, from defensive to reflective, from angry to understanding. This effect isn't a manipulation tactic, but a natural outcome of someone standing firm in their values. Women, like everyone else, respect those who respect themselves. When they realize there are boundaries that cannot be crossed, they are compelled to reconsider their actions and the depth of their investment. A woman may not say it, but she always senses the value of a man who knows when to walk away. In a world where many trade their dignity just to be loved, the one who dares to let go is the one most worthy of respect. When a man walks away rather than lose himself, he not only affirms his self-respect, but also reminds others of the boundaries of dignity. His silence isn't coldness. It's a declaration that he will not let emotions dictate his life. The fifth weakness is living with purpose. At the core of the female psyche lies an unspoken truth. Women are irresistibly drawn to men with purpose, not because of fame or material wealth, but because of the energy of direction. A man who lives with meaning emits a signal of stability, order, and progress. This resonates deeply with a woman's need for safety. In the presence of a man who knows where he's going and why, she feels less guarded, more aligned, and naturally inclined to follow his rhythm. This attraction is instinctual, not rational, a response to a grounded sense of direction. The contrast is clear when a man lacks purpose. His energy is scattered, his words weak, and his emotions unstable. In contrast, a man with purpose has a thickened presence, sharpened focus, and a capacity to filter out distractions. Women sense the layers of stability in his discipline, perseverance, and consistency. When he prioritizes meaningful progress over fleeting desires, a quiet power emerges that doesn't need to be flaunted. This power shifts the energy of the room, naturally influencing others to adjust their rhythm. The clearer his purpose, the stronger a woman's instinctive attraction. However, purpose only creates true attraction when it's built on self-mastery. If purpose becomes an excuse for controlling or dismissing the needs of others, it loses its quiet strength and turns into empty ambition. Lasting attraction stems from inner structure, knowing what matters, understanding priorities, and staying true to one's path without seeking validation. With such a man, a woman doesn't need to manage his emotions. She can relax, feeling the steady rhythm of forward movement. This is how a man's purpose becomes a woman's weakness, by opening a safe, directed space where admiration, respect, and lasting attraction can grow naturally, without manipulation or display. The sixth weakness is opening up with limits. When a man shows just enough sincerity, revealing a part of his inner world while keeping his psychological core steady, it creates a special feeling, both closeness and safety. Women sense depth when they see a man who can acknowledge his emotions without being swept away by them. They see it as a sign of maturity, not weakness. This becomes a weakness because it powerfully awakens a woman's instinct to connect and nurture in the presence of someone who can be touched emotionally, yet doesn't collapse under the weight of his feelings. This reaction isn't about enjoying complaints or sad stories. It's about appreciating the ability to separate feeling from being controlled by emotion. When a man shares a part of his inner struggle within healthy limits, he shows that he's brave enough to face himself, yet clear-headed enough not to make others responsible for his healing. In a woman's eyes, that's a sign of inner strength. A man who can endure pain without letting it rule his life, who knows the difference between sharing to connect and unloading in a way that throws the relationship off balance. This reaction isn't about enjoying complaints or sad stories. It's about appreciating the ability to distinguish between feeling emotions and being ruled by them. When a man shares part of his heart within boundaries, he shows that he's brave enough to face himself, yet wise enough not to make others responsible for his healing. In a woman's eyes, that's a mark of inner strength. A man who can endure pain without letting it dominate his life, who knows the difference between sharing to connect and unloading in a way that throws the relationship out of balance. In the Stoic spirit, opening up with limits is a sign of self-control, not suppressing emotions into numbness, but also not letting them drift like a boat in a storm. When this quality appears in a man, it triggers a woman's weakness because it allows for genuine connection without great emotional risk. Women can sense the difference between a man who needs to be comforted and one who wants to share and grow together. And it's that difference that draws them in and makes them want to stay. Because alongside the warmth of emotional connection lies the solid ground of responsibility and self-mastery. Calmness in the face of challenges is also a subtle weakness in women. It's an instinct to test and probe, to see whether the person they rely on is truly steady. They don't test to make things difficult, but to gauge stability and honesty. These testing behaviors come from a need for safety. A sharp word, a moment of distance, or an emotional retreat can all serve as ways to measure whether a man can hold the connection steady when pressure arises. This tendency becomes a delicate weakness because it can lead them to overreact, fluctuate emotionally, and sometimes put the relationship through unnecessary trials before true value is revealed. From a Stoic perspective, every challenge is a mirror that reveals one's level of self-control. When someone triggers a tense situation, the first impulse is often to defend, get angry, or justify. Those reactions only expose instability. In contrast, a man who remains calm, who doesn't respond emotionally or get drawn into verbal sparring, shows an inner axis that's hard to shake. Calmness here isn't indifference. It's the ability to observe, analyze, and act with intention. It's how a test becomes a space for deeper understanding, allowing the other person to lower their guard and see you with growing respect. Responding to tests with calmness turns doubt into trust and transforms challenges into bridges for a more mature relationship. On the other hand, reacting emotionally only amplifies suspicion and slowly erodes trust. Recognizing that testing as a woman's subtle weakness isn't about manipulation. It's about encouraging a man to strengthen his ability to stay centered. When you can stand firm without needing to appear strong, you not only preserve your dignity, but also become someone the other person can feel safe investing herself in. The eighth weakness is calmness in the face of rejection. This is a subtle test in relationships, and within it lies a hidden weakness in women. They are often drawn to a man who remains composed when faced with rejection. It's not because they take pleasure in someone's pain, but because a person's reaction to rejection reveals the architecture of their inner world. When a man doesn't let pain or disappointment disrupt his rhythm, when he doesn't beg or act in desperation, it sends a powerful signal. He is independent, not dependent on anyone's approval. From an analytical point of view, the ability to handle rejection reflects the depth of one's inner maturity. Rejection is an inevitable part of life, and how a person deals with it reveals how they are structured in the face of failure, loss, or disagreement. When a woman witnesses a man facing an undesired outcome with composure, she recognizes a pattern. He doesn't seek his worth through others' opinions, and he has the strength to stand firm after setbacks. That calmness reduces chaos within the relationship and creates a safe emotional space where reflection can emerge. It's precisely this stability that draws women in, guiding them from fleeting emotions toward deeper, more lasting feelings. The outcome in interaction is clear. A calm attitude toward rejection not only increases respect from the other person, but also reshapes how the relationship evolves. When the first reaction isn't begging or blaming, the space between two people remains open enough to reassess value, responsibility, and boundaries. This shifts the connection from an emotional dependency to a deliberate engagement. At the same time, understanding this weakness isn't about encouraging manipulation, but recognizing that on a deeper level, people are drawn to signs of inner freedom. Calmness in the face of rejection is a symbol of self-mastery. When it appears, it commands respect, and in many cases, sparks a genuine desire to walk alongside someone grounded and secure. The ninth weakness is keeping a sense of mystery. There is a subtle kind of attraction that comes from what isn't said, from the private space a person keeps for themselves. For many women, that mystery awakens a deep curiosity, a desire to understand, to get closer, to find out whether the man's depth is real or just surface-level appearance. The weakness here doesn't come from wanting to be deceived, but from the instinctive curiosity triggered when faced with someone who can't yet be fully measured. Unlike pretense, genuine mystery arises from a solid inner foundation, where a man doesn't feel threatened by not being fully understood. Women can quickly sense the difference between depth-based discretion and secrecy born from avoidance, and their reactions differ accordingly. When mystery is the result of a rich inner life, it creates the feeling that there is more to grow, explore, and experience together. In contrast, when mystery is staged as an act, it is soon exposed and causes trust to collapse. Recognizing this weakness isn't about encouraging needless secrecy, but about understanding that having a private inner space is part of what makes someone worth approaching sincerely. When you preserve a part of yourself, you don't put others in the position of endless conquest. You allow the relationship to unfold naturally, deepening over time instead of remaining shallow. Women are drawn to mystery because it awakens their curiosity and desire to explore, but that mystery only holds value when it's sustained by honesty and a steady inner core that cannot be easily shaken. The final weakness is mastery over desire. There is a simple paradox in human nature. When a man isn't ruled by his desires, he becomes more valuable in the eyes of others. Women, like anyone, can sense whether a man acts out of impulse or disciplined reason. The weakness here is the instinctive attraction to the energy of someone who practices restraint. Not because it feels cold, but because it shows proof of self-leadership. When a man prioritizes inner order over temporary pleasure, he emits a signal of safety and stability. a signal that speaks directly to the deepest need of those seeking lasting connection. The ability to manage desire reflects a quality far greater than simply rejecting pleasure. It is the mark of discipline, of knowing how to choose priorities, and of having the strength to keep promises to oneself. Women can feel this deeply. A man who isn't driven by fleeting emotions is far less likely to drag a relationship into chaos or force his partner to repair the damage caused by impulsive behavior. That's why self-control in the face of temptation not only earns respect, but also creates a foundation of safety on which a mature and lasting relationship can grow. Mastering desire isn't about denying instinct, but about directing that energy toward a higher purpose. A man who has trained himself in this way doesn't need noise or display to prove his worth. His calmness is the proof. When the other person recognizes this difference, she often feels both protected and inspired to stay close, because alongside physical attraction lies the deeper longing for stability. And it's in that space where self-control becomes the most enduring form of magnetism, making others not only want to be near you, but also want to build a future with you. Through these 10 hidden weaknesses we've explored, the most important realization isn't a list of tricks to manipulate others, but a mirror to reflect upon yourself. When you learn to calm your own mind, when you place inner value above external validation, you no longer need to control anyone's emotions. Instead, you invite them into a space of safety, order, and meaning. Stoicism doesn't teach us to use knowledge of others to harm or deceive. It teaches us to master ourselves, and it's that self-mastery that draws people in. Recognizing the psychological weaknesses of others must therefore come with responsibility. Not to exploit, but to respect. Not to manipulate, but to lead with integrity. When you stay calm in turbulence, when you have clear purpose, when you open your heart without losing yourself, you not only enhance your own attraction, but also create the conditions for a relationship built on trust and maturity. That is lasting attraction, completely different from short-lived tricks. See these 10 weaknesses as guides for self-mastery, not formulas for manipulation. If you find value in them, keep refining yourself every day through habit, reflection, and meaningful action. If this video has been helpful, please hit like, subscribe, and share it so more people can join the journey of cultivating self-control and living with greater depth and peace in a world full of chaos.